Here are 4 giant mistakes to avoid with your finances. I'm talking to you. Here's what to do with this video. Listen and watch very carefully because today I'm gonna be very personal. I'll be talking directly to you. Yes, you who's watching now while laying in your bed or sitting on the sofa or maybe in the bathroom. Anyway, let's not mind that. Today, we'll be talking about the giant money mistakes that you need to avoid. If you're new here, I'll just remind you that in this channel, I always talk about money. Not very obvious in the name, right? Oh well, I'll stop, but this is Finance Boss. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll get notified for the new awesome videos that we'll be uploading. No more intros, let's do this. Number 1. People don't confront the truth about their finances. When we're struggling in the short term, it's far easier and far less painful to simply turn a blind eye to our own financial situation. We've got endless credit card payments, we've got massive student debt, and we're living paycheck to paycheck. The problem seems so big, so scary, and so daunting that we'd rather simply live in ignorance than to address the problem. We might laugh at our own financial misfortunes with friends, but deep down, we know the truth that our own finances are terrible because of bad decisions we've made in the past and the fact that we haven't sat down to put together a plan to correct these problems. While it's easier and less painful to ignore your problems today, it's far more difficult and far less enjoyable if you put it off to the future. So, I remember a turning point for me with my finances. I sat down at my laptop and I pulled together all of my banking and finance information. And so, I collected my student loans. I had about 6 of them at the time I got my car payment. I got my business debit account, my personal debit account, and as well as my credit card. And I put them all into one spreadsheet and I got a bird's eye view for the first time of my finances. I had been putting this off because I was afraid of what I might find. So what's gonna get you fired up to make these changes in your finances? So, instead of going back through past banking statements, looking for that transaction that you need, try to fix it right now, as soon as you can. Number 2. People lease a luxury life. One of the biggest lies that we've been told is that in order to afford a car or anything that we can't afford, we should take out a loan. But when it comes to something like owning a vehicle, we don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars to find something that gets the job done. That gets us from point A to point B. But we see all of our friends driving brand new cars with heated seats and beautiful leather trim, and that gets in our head. Now we're thinking more about the immediate gratification of driving in that car, and we begin to rationalize that, it's only $300 a month, and it's definitely smarter to get a new car because it's going to last me longer. If I got an old car, I have to put even more money into it than I'd probably spend on a brand new car anyway. And you know what? If I spend an extra $50 a month, I can get the top of the line model. And it's not just cars. People do this with every credit card purchase they make and don't immediately pay off at the end of the month to own new furniture, home decor, and electronics. This might feel good in the short term, but the moment you drive that car off the lot or mount that flat screen TV, the good vibes begin to end. You'll regret these purchases once you realize that the luxury item isn't providing sustainable happiness and it actually moved you that much further away from reaching financial freedom. Now, I have nothing against buying really nice things and spending money on things that you value and that bring joy to you. In fact, I spent a lot of money on my own personal wellness and fitness health. These are the areas in my life where I spend openly and freely, but up until the point when I was debt-free. When you're faced with these kinds of purchases, ask yourself the following: can I actually afford this purchase? And if you need to put it on a credit card, then the answer is no. Am I making this purchase for myself or to impress others? Could I live without this item for another year? Do I need the high-end version or could I get with the basic version? Number 3. People never plan ahead. There are expenses both big and small that are coming our way that are in our future, that we're currently because we haven't done that work to get a bird's eye view of our finances and to see what might lie ahead. And when it comes to those unexpected expenses, which we can actually totally expect, there are those things that are small: the parking tickets, the broken water heater, the midnight emergency trip to the dentist. That's why every reputable financial expert will encourage you to build an emergency fund. You can start with a modest $1,000 to plan for the unplannable. But eventually, it's smart to build an even bigger buffer of 6 months or more of expenses. Since I started my own business right out of college, I have literally never had the comfort of a steady paycheck, and that's actually the best thing to happen to me. And I think it's a mindset that everybody should be applying to them. Whether they run their own business or they work a 9 to 5, you have to start asking questions to yourself. What would I do if my income wasn't guaranteed? And by the way, even if you have a full-time job, it's not guaranteed. What if I didn't think I'd be able to get work over in the next couple of months? How much more conservative would I be with my spending? What would it feel like if I had an entire year of expenses in the bank? Now when your car breaks down or a pipe bursts in your house, it will still be a pain in the ass, but it won't ruin you financially, and it won't put as much pressure on your day. Life is hard enough. Getting on top of your finances can make things feel a lot less stressful. So, we talked about all the small things, but now we need to talk about the big things. Those big items, those big ticket purchases that we know are lying in our future: the wedding, the house, the baby, the retirement, the second baby. Without putting a plan together for these things, we'll almost always come up short and stressed out. So plan out a budget for yourself and then double it, because that's likely going to be a lot closer to how much it's actually going to cost. Number 4. People think personal finance is all about numbers. I encourage you to take the marathoner's approach instead of the sprint. It takes time. Most people think that in order to be good with money, you need to be good with numbers, when in fact, you actually need to be better at behavior change. Most of us are running on autopilot. We're taking advice from our parents who are terrible with money. We're looking at what our friends are doing who are also terrible with money. And we're falling for slick ads by marketers who wants us to be terrible with. If I can leave you with one thing, it's that your worth does not equal your net worth. You know, just because you're not doing well, you're struggling right now, or your finances are in rough shape, doesn't mean that you're dumb. There's always time to change and be better. There's always a chance to make everything right. You might be one of the people who doesn't confront the truth about their finances, might be the person who leads a luxury life. You might be planning ahead, or you might be one of the people who thinks personal finance is all about numbers. It's never too late to change. Well, we don't wake up knowing what to do in our lives. We don't wake up being smart about money and the way we live life. It's all about the desire to start and the desire to change. This is Finance Boss, trying to give you a very personal video. If you're still here until the end, I guess we can be friends now. Subscribe. See ya!